Huh? Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us for the whole like 2, 3 people. But hey, you know what? I appreciate all of you. Welcome to the Comic Binge. If you're either joining us live or if you're listening to the podcast or joining us on YouTube, whatever way we're doing it now. What are you drinking? You could talk, you could use your words.
I know. I mean, I guess if I'm going to be,
are you a mime now?
I'm going to transfer this to audio, so it might be a little awkward if I don't talk. But
yeah, exactly. Yeah. You're in charge of audio. If you're not happy with how fast we are with audio, again, with 2-3 people, you can blame this guy, Chris.
Sorry, I take full responsibility.
How dare you have a daughter and have responsibility? How dare you? I know nothing of the sort.
Today was a doozy, man. Sounds like it was a doozy for you too, but
that's neither here nor there. For other reasons, but it's all good. It's all good. I keep seeing like a white thing on my sweatshirt, and it's driving me nuts. I'm not sure what's going on here, which side it is. Anyway, all right. So today on the Comic Binge, I did a little video where I talked about the MCU required reading of just where the stories are going to go for the MCU, where they're going to take Sam Wilson, Captain America, where they're going to take U.S. Agent and Baron Zemo. And I kind of talked about two comic storylines or series, if you will, that's going to bring in, I think, in my opinion, a lot of worth for if you're wanting to know where the MCU could go. And for those who know the MCU well, like yours truly, which I hate even saying that, to be honest. I don't like saying I know anything well, but I'm just, whatever. It is what it is.
Would you like to lie about it?
Well, I don't want to lie, but it's whatever. But either way, if you know the MCU as well as I do, you know the fact that they don't just adapt one straight story. They will totally do a thing where it's just a smorgasbord in a good way, a smorgasbord. A thing of basically, a bunch of storylines kind of brought together, and you get this one massive storyline. So for me, I really like what they do with that stuff. And I think what I've given you all, I say me giving you, like, I've created this. I haven't done anything except for read it and be like, you guys should read this. But anyway, I've given the audience here, or whoever's out there, a way for you to kind of get the head of the game, head of the curve, or whatever it is. So you can basically just get out there and know kind of an idea of where they're going to go with these stories, because I do think what I've suggested today is going to do that in some ways. And Chris, I'm curious, just kind of the surface level of the Captain America storyline and the Thunderbolts, what's your kind of take off that right now? Like, just kind of really quick.
In terms of the comics, or in terms of
in terms of comics, how close do you think that's going to be? Just off of that.
Reasonably close, although one of the things that I was really happy to see in the show, in Falcon Winter Soldier, specifically when it comes to Sam, was that it understandably felt a little more conscious than the comics. The comics touch on it a little bit, which we'll talk about, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. But the unique experience of actually being a black man that assumes the mantle is far more at the center of Falcon Winter Soldier. Because in the comics, it's a rather blunt transition. It works, and I like the story, and I like where it goes. But the Falcon Winter Soldier, the whole thing, every episode is about how Sam transitions from point A to point B. So breathing a little bit more, I think, is going to be understandable in any adaptation. In terms of the Thunderbolts, that I would mostly throw to you, man, just because my familiarity with the Thunderbolts is, it's okay, but I didn't see anything in the show that immediately made me go, oh, they're going to the Thunderbolts, So,
well, there's reasons why you might think that, I think, and we'll get into that, I think, when we get to the Thunderbolts here, and we're not going to spend, we'll be about an hour today total. So we'll do, a little bit of cap, a little bit of Thunderbolts, a little bit of recap where we all think it might go, or whatever. So, but yeah, I think I've got some stuff, and I'll give my reasons why a little more deeper, if you will. into this. So anyway, starting off with, I think, Captain America. So we're going to start off with all new Captain America, and that is right here, as you'll see on the top of the screen here. This is Captain America 2014 to 15. It's crazy. This was 6 years ago, Holmes. Like, seriously.
Almost 7.
Oh, God. I don't want to think
and
about
it's all new Captain America.
Yeah,
it was all new at this
exactly.
point in time, right?
So with this right here, you get, in my opinion, this is by far the best Sam Wilson Captain America storyline, and it's ironically the first. So I'm one of those people who kind of thinks that the Nick Spencer run wasn't exactly wasn't the greatest with Sam, in my opinion. He does introduce a new Falcon, Joaquin, as we get in the TV series here. But this, to me, is where you want to go in Marvel Unlimited, and we'll do some spoilers, but not go crazy on them, as we're trying to kind of keep away a little bit. But as we see here, this is 6 issues. This goes right into Secret Wars 3, which wasn't exactly probably Marvel's smartest move, to be quite honest, in my opinion. We'll get into that. We'll get that towards the end. But this is where you want to go. If you have Marvel Unlimited, you want to go here. If you don't have Marvel Unlimited, get Marvel Unlimited or go buy this digitally. They're probably super cheap right now. You want this stuff. Looking for these comic books. They're out there, and they're really good. They're written by Rick Remender and Stuart Immonen, right? Am I right about this? Or am I...
Remender wrote it and Stuart Immonen penciled it.
Well, right. But so yeah, this is where you want to go for Captain America, Sam Wilson. This is the only story, in my opinion, that I think is worth at this point. Like, you have to read it. This is why I said required reading, right? So these 6 comics we reviewed, or we're going to review here quickly, or just kind of talk about. And anyway, so kind of going with the first issue, which I really loved, by the way. I thought, I remember I even tweeted this out, I think, when I first bought the comic book, was this comic book right here is just a great introduction to Sam in the 616 universe, and not just as Captain America, but as just the character himself, of not having a superhero moniker. You get a good, deep understanding initially right away. And also you get to see him in action right away and just kind of see how Captain America, the new Captain America, is going to be, doing things as a Falcon version of this Captain America, which I was surprised at the time. And I know Rick Remender just recently tweeted out, I'm not sure if you saw this, Chris, or not, but Rick Remender actually said he fought to keep Falcon's wings. Isn't that crazy?
That seems like something you should not have to fight for.
Right. So I thought that was crazy.
When we were watching, spoiler alert, obviously, well, we've already talked about the show leading up to this. So
it's whatever. It's whatever.
I mean, I had to pull out the "they fly now" joke when this happened, in the show, because like, Cap fly now, and it's it's so perfect. I mean, one of the most timeless icons of the United States of America is a bald eagle.
Yeah, exactly. It only made sense, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when he used Red Wing for the first time in this comic book. I was like, and again, years ago when I read it, I'm like, whoa, that's so cool. I didn't even think about that. Like, that's rad. Like, how, and I said on the Marvel newscast, or no, God, MCU fan show, that I'm like, yeah, that I love the fact that we're using, Red Wing as this character, or as Captain America here. So super, super rad. I loved the series when it came out. What was your take on the series when it came out, Chris?
So I was at a kind of interesting point when this came out, because I had moved to another part of the country about a year before this series started. I think the last regular book that I bought before I kind of fell out of comics for a while was All New Captain America #2. So I remember really enjoying the first 2 issues when they happened. And I think that Remender did something really wise when he came aboard Captain America the first time. And that's just to go, you're following Elvis, right? He was the next ongoing writer on Captain America after Ed Brubaker. So how in the hell can you possibly follow that up? You go in an entirely different direction. And that's exactly what he did. and he did it really effectively in this kind of
agree.
crazy sci-fi story that seems kind of off the wall, but at the same time, when you actually sit down to read his 25 issues with Steve, it feels right at home. So, you know, like I alluded to before, the transition into Sam as Cap is a little bit blunt at the end of the last series, and that's actually when his first appearance as Captain America takes place after Steve has had his vitality drained from the super soldier serum.
Yeah.
But he spends this arc, I don't want to say justifying the choice, because it's not like the choice needs a lot of justifications. It's Sam Wilson. He's been with Steve Rogers.
Well, I would actually say that you're right. He doesn't need to justify it, but you're justifying it, I think, to the readership, which is kind of meta, you know? I mean, in a way, that's kind of what...
I mean, there's that moment in the first, and I know I'm getting ahead of the first issue here, but there's the moment in the first...
We're just going
okay, all right.
Yeah,
well,
we're fine.
There's the moment in the arc where, you know, I think it's Sam overhears someone denigrating Sam Wilson as Captain America. Oh, everything's got to be politically correct now. Blah, blah, blah. It sounds very familiar.
Yeah.
And
unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately. And that's almost like a Remender narrative backhand to people who are questioning the choice on its face. But he spends the whole story really showing not only why Sam Wilson has the chops to be Captain America, but why he has just as much belief in what the symbol represents as Steve Rogers does.
Yeah.
And it's informed by Steve. You know, I don't really, even watching the show and in reading this series, I mean, reading the series, Steve is a very minor supporting character, so he's actually present in the story.
Yeah.
But watching the show too, the legacy is imbued with Steve. And in both the show and in this series, Sam feels the weight of the mantle of Captain America because of what Steve established with it.
Right.
So as a Captain America fan, and I've said several times, he's my favorite Marvel character. Captain America, Steve Rogers is my guy. But Sam Wilson is pretty damn close, and it's because he is a part of the Steve Rogers school of heroism. And you see it very, very plainly in this comic book series, but also they took the best components of that, put it through a modern lens, and adapted it into the show and actually told more of a long-form story about how he gets the mantle. So that I found just really, really satisfying. But just in terms of this comic book reading experience, I thought it was great because it felt kind of like a classic Captain America story in the sense of the stakes are ridiculous, and the national identity is at the center of everything, and you have Batroc, who is just spewing the most incredible and hilarious anti-American dialogue, and Sam is just throwing it right back in his face. And
Sam's a better talker. He's a better talker than Steve, and in seeing those characters, I mean, like you can write him to be a little bit more wittier, a little bit more just kind of can snap back to with the best of them kind of a thing. And I definitely liked it. Just something felt right to see Sam in the costume, and I like the costume. And when I said it on the MC Fan Show that I couldn't believe how accurate like the costume was to the comic book. Like that was crazy.
It's really close, but then I saw that person tweeted you saying, "Did you notice that the eagle was on the front?"
Yeah, that's really cool.
And that was a really cool observation. But you're right. I mean, by and large, it looks like it's ripped right off the page. Although I think I like the goggles in the show a little bit more than I like them in the book, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm kind of, I don't know. I mean, it's so close. I mean, it's almost like picture for picture. Like
it's really close.
Line art, everything going straight onto the screen. And I even said on the fan show that it was a little bit jarring to see the white, like it's so white.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like I was really surprised. I'm like, whoa, that's pretty white. That's a pretty white costume he's got there.
Well, and he wants to stand out. Right, he wants to make sure.
Well, that's Wakanda's. That was Wakanda's call. Let's be real.
Well, but really, it speaks to what Sam wants to do with the identity of Captain America, because by that point in the show, he has said, he's made peace with the idea that he's going to assume this mantle and that he's going to take the title and hopefully do it justice, but also give it his own spin.
Right.
And how better to make that bold kind of statement than to just be out there and be as visible as you possibly can be. And I loved at that moment in the last episode where he says, I can already feel the disdain in my direction from some people. Yeah. But it's not stopping him. You know, he knows he's the only one who can do that symbol justice because they already made a pretty bad mistake in terms of giving the mantle to somebody else.
And that's the one thing the show I think it definitely had the advantage of is the pre kind of hype, if you will, to work towards being Sam as Captain America was much better than the comic book, because in the comic book, Steve, you know, again, spoiler alert, but just really quickly, if you've seen this comic book series, you go read it, you'll see it. But Steve's an old man, like he is in Endgame, and him and Sharon are going to do their own thing, you know, whatever. Not Peggy, but Sharon. It's a long story. But it definitely wasn't as climactic as what we got in the show.
Well,
and
Remender even wrote that into the script for Cap number 25, because as soon as Sam is revealed as Captain America, he goes, you guys already knew this, right? There's absolutely no suspense.
Right. And this was a fun, I remember reading this being like, okay, I mean, when I did my Captain America reread, I read this comic book and I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. You know, it was kind of time to move on. And this is the thing I would say about this Captain America run, or this series specifically, is the fact is this comic book series is a great introduction if you are a newer fan of comic books. And I really do think so. I think this is a great jumping on point for people, or maybe not even comic book fans. Maybe they're just jumping on point for Captain America, period. Like I said in the video, the MCU Required Reading video, Chris, that this is a murderer's row of Cap villains. Like they have with the exception of Red Skull, which is too obvious, they have a good slew of a ton of characters that you may or may not know in the Captain America mythos, if you will. Mm-hmm. So and this was a great example. And of course, Baron Zemo had to be a part of it. If it wasn't Red Skull, had to be Baron Zemo. And it's interesting because Marvel Studios is treating Zemo as a little more of an anti-hero than he is a villain, which I kind of like. Yeah. I think it's cool. In this series, he's a little more of a bad guy. He's a little more
little bit. Yeah.
A little bit. He's a little bit more of a bad guy. And this is a great, I love this here, which I didn't even realize. I have another point here in a second, but we'll talk about the villains here real quick. This is great. And I love that he kind of went to the well, he being Reminder. He went to the well and he wanted to give I think the fans, and I think not just the fans who love Captain America like we do, but he wanted to give, like, again, the new fans. So if you're out there, you don't know what to read, go read this series, man. This is a great series. So he gives you villains right away that are perfect for, to kind of get used to and kind of get to know a little bit that you may not know already, you know? And I think that it's a great introduction. I was wondering if you picked up on the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, how could you not you've got the cover of issue number 2 right there. I mean, outside of Ian, right? It's kind of a smorgasbord of Captain America. In a second.
Yeah. This guy, people, if we know who this guy is.
Yeah, well, the guy right behind Cap's shoulder. But no, it was really cool. And really, I mean, I know that Sin has kind of tried to, at least by this point in time, had tried to take the Red Skull mantle for herself. And this series makes clear that she still has a lot of outstanding issues with her father. But there is something that feels weirdly more vicious about her. Like, Johann Schmidt always seemed like he was just in control, and he was almost more measured. It didn't restrain his brutality, but he was way more comfortable just, lifting a finger and having an entire village murdered, as opposed to Sin, who wants to stick her thumbs in people's throats, right? And
the difference is because Red Skull had nothing to prove.
Yeah.
He was Red Skull. She's got to live up to Red Skull.
And he's a chauvinist, and he's a
right.
misogynist, and he's a Nazi.
Yeah, he's a Nazi. I mean,
so
and I'll be honest, I'm not a fan of. That's probably the one I think the weaker points of the story. To be quite honest, I don't love Sin, Red Skull's daughter. She's not terrible, and I say weak because it's just not my favorite. I guess I would say.
Well, it just feels like I see what you mean, because it's a little more throwaway, right? Because
exactly.
We're a couple of years by this point, I think, removed from Fear itself, where she became the god of fear and actually tried to take the Red Skull mantle, if I'm remembering correctly.
I forgot about that. I totally forgot about that.
Isn't that when she tore her face off?
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, it's starting to all come back now, because I remember it didn't, like in the New Avengers, Squirrel Girl, like in Daredevil had to save her or something like that.
I think so. It's been I think the last time I read that was when it came out.
Fear itself is such a slog, man.
They just overdid it. You know, the stuff afterward was actually pretty cool. Like Fraction did an issue of Thor and of Iron Man that took place right after the main series, and those were really solid. And Brubaker did one too for Captain America, and I loved all of those. But the main series, it was a little bit of a. But that was putting that aside. I mean, that's where Sin really tried to become the new Red Skull, and I credit them for trying, but it just doesn't quite connect. And we're a couple of years at this point removed from when Remender had actual Red Skull stealing Professor X's brain, so it's hard to get bonkers more evil than that, right?
So bonkers, man. I love Reminder, because he went for it, man. I mean, I do miss him on Marvel stuff.
He's sorely missed.
Everyone loves his X-Force stuff. I read a little bit, and I wasn't as into it. I think his
we're gonna have to cover, because we've talked about this before. We'll have to cover.
You couldn't even get me to read it. I have no interest in reading X. I'll be honest. It's not just him. It's the X titles. Period. The X titles right now are just.
Well, that's why we go back. We go.
Even if I go back, it's like it's tainted now. The X-Men are tainted.
What about, we have to finish Morrison at some point?
We'll talk. Anyway.
Come on, man.
Anyway.
So beyond Red Skull, I mean, the use of crossbones in this story was actually a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I mean, it kind of reminded me of because Crossbones and Sin were really kind of closely tied together during Brubaker's Cap run. Like they were, I don't know if they were a couple necessarily. But
I thought they were. I thought they totally were.
Maybe they were.
I think they were. Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of hard to tell when you get two crazy people together. You know, there's a very fine line. But
that's fair.
Crossbones just seemed balls to the wall, out of his mind in this, and he just didn't. He just seemed like a bull in a china shop. And I thought that if you're going to have like an ensemble of villains that opposes the new Captain America, then you really have to pick out like one niche in order to properly use them, if so that they don't overshadow the primary villain, in this case Zemo. Yeah. And I thought that was really solid. And Zemo himself, of course, was just really vindictive. And
you see Sam punching Sin. And again, but she's a little more. She's not like straight up just a female version of Red Skull. She has a more of a mangled face. Like Red Skull is like a literal Red Skull. Yeah. Whereas Sin is a little more. My face is haggard, and I'm.
It's almost like the musculature, or like. Well, I guess you kind of saw it like in The Dark Knight for Two-Face, how his muscles were like,
You
saw the fibers and stuff. It's like her whole face is made up of that.
Yeah,
like Freddy Krueger.
Yeah, that's exactly what she's like. Yeah. I think the one thing about the story is her stuff and the whole I think her, and again, he being Rick Reminder, he purposely used her to I guess kind of show how he's Captain America, but he's different in a different sense of he's not the same character, or he's not the same. He's like Steve. He's honorable. He's a good man, but he's a little different. He thinks differently, and it was a good storytelling device. I think the way he used Sin. The only problem is she's just not that interesting, and it got a little bit weird at times when they went. I don't even remember. Went to a different dimension or something. Or what was was it the cube?
But yes. But granted, they never really had as much of a chance at this point to make her stand out, and you could tell that Remender was putting more of his energy into Zemo. So
Yeah.
if Sin gets the short end of the stick, I don't know if it's necessarily the character's fault per se, as much as this was just clearly more of a Captain America versus Baron Zemo story, and Zemo is the one who orchestrated all of this to try and throw everything that he could at a guy that he didn't think could take it, and of course, Sam proves him wrong.
Yeah, so Zemo was great. I thought, everything was. I loved all the use of the characters that we got in this series. And going back really quick, I'll just go back to the second issue because I want to talk about this guy. This was something that I want to say kind of surprised me. I didn't realize until I was reading this comic book, Chris, is that this is basically Winter Soldier.
Well, who are you pointing to?
Freaking Ian.
Oh, I can't see who you're pointing to.
Oh, my bad. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I thought you could. No, yeah. This is I thought he was basically like they used this dynamic in Winter Soldier. Like they used I was like, whoa.
Oh, you mean like in the adaptation?
Yeah, adaptation. I'm like, they totally used the Ian character and went, oh, weird. I mean, obviously it's much different, but I'm like,
sure.
I don't think it's coincidental because I did like the dynamic because think about this. For those who don't know, Ian is a adopted son of Captain America. Again, an underrated. Rick Reminder's initial run with Steve, with John Romita Jr. is underrated, and me and you both really like that series.
And the Carlos Pacheco issues too were.
I have. I think I've read them, but I didn't like them. I didn't like them as much as John Romita Jr. But he created
a guy. But just in terms of the storytelling with Steve,
I think
very solid.
Yeah. This stuff with Ian, aka Nomad, I loved, and I had an affinity for the character. But obviously, here he plays that Winter Soldier part perfectly because he has that connection with Steve because of the Negative Zone. And again, if you're wondering how that all works out, just read the initial issues. It's hard to explain. Just know if you know comic books, Negative Zone and time works differently. Anyway, so it's all we're gonna say about that. So anyway, but I did like the fact that they use this dynamic of two people who knew Steve very differently, and they use that idea in the show like they do here in the comic book. And I do like this here. There's lots of good stuff and lots of surprises. I forgot what happens at the end, which again I'll leave a light spoiler, or not in light spoiler. I'm gonna tread lightly around it. I like what they did here with Ian. And with Winter Soldier as kind of that counterpart for Steve or for Sam to have someone to kind of reflect off of with Steve, because obviously Sam's relationship is much different than a lot of other people's out there, as far even with the partners and the people that are close to Steve. And so, good.
You're right. I mean, I didn't really ever consider that, but the common denominator, I guess, between the show and between this series is that. Both guys meditate on the legacy of Steve Rogers, and Ian very much plays that part because he has that the father-son dynamic, which isn't present in the show, understandably so, but it still gives a different perspective, like a different angle to the way that Steve is perceived. Yeah. So that's really cool. And coming off of the original reading experience of those first 25 issues from Remender and going into this, you go on such a roller coaster with Ian because Ian
you do, man.
is the adoptive part is more direct. He's more directly connected biologically to Arnim Zola. And,
spoiler alert. Jeez.
Well, I mean, by this point, they're going to mention if they're going to go straight to this, then they're going to read several times where he reflects on.
All right. No, I'm just giving you a hard time, but
but I mean, that also provides another angle too, because in a way, it kind of re-emphasizes the power that Steve has in terms of just trying to show people what the right way is. Yeah, and he's able to reach Ian in such a way that he can sort of move beyond the familial connection, or rather abusive familial connection, and get to the boy so that he can have not a normal life, but hopefully a better one. And that's what cultivates the parental child relationship there.
Right.
So it's a really cool character dynamic. I mean, these 6 issues are solid, and just read them if you're inclined to. But if you are thinking that you want some more, definitely go back to the Dimension Z stuff.
Yeah. Is it called the Dimension Z arc?
I think it's Escape from Dimension Z.
Yeah, I think you're right.
The first 6 issues are Escape from Dimension Z.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, and I remember reading it at the time because in my opinion, Brubaker was kind of fallen off. He'd already left by the time he left Cap, because it wasn't as consistent for me as at the end.
No, they gave him Steve Epting as his artist on the first few issues of his last Captain America series, and it was, I mean, it looked very pretty, but you could tell that
his heart wasn't in it.
No.
You could just tell. Yeah, it was disappointing because again, I love Brubaker Cap, and
in a weird way, I mean, you could probably say that his heart wasn't really in it after Steve came back, which is kind of a shame. There were a couple of instances where it was like,
I agree with that, actually, 100%. Cool. But the Zemo stuff was not. His Zemo storyline was not. It was. I have to reread it, but I remember not loving it when it came out.
Well, Reborn. I mean, I like Reborn more than some people do, but
Reborn's a mess.
I'm sorry. A lot of people say that, and it's a shame. I love the final fight in Reborn, and I like Brian Hitch, but Brian Hitch also didn't seem. There was something that just didn't seem right about that series not being drawn by Steve Epting.
Yeah. I agree. And so again, kind of continuing on with Captain America here, this series, again, you're going to get these villains. And I think I'll be honest, I'm not going to be surprised. And I'm calling it now. I think the Serpent Society or Serpent Squad or whichever one you want to call, there's a lot of different characters that I think this could be the beginning of these characters could be ushered into Hydra in the MCU, meaning I think that they could be the kind of like the new, I would say super soldiers, but something like that. The Captain America and maybe the Avengers or whoever is going to be the the new team or something that's going to help spearhead. That's what word I'm looking for. Spearhead the Hydra coming back and having these new kind of super powered people. Because again, they're not the Serpent Society isn't necessarily tied to Hydra. No, Madame Hydra, Viper. She was the leader of them for a while, or one of the super squad, which one it is. I always forget which one it is, what it's called.
Yeah.
But she definitely has a tie to Hydra. Obviously, her name was Madame Hydra. We also have Val, that's also is at one point a Madame Hydra, whichever you prefer, and we all know is played by Julia Louis-Dreyfus. Is that her name? I always forget.
Julia Louis-Dreyfus. Yeah,
Louis. Yeah. And she, I gotta say, I think that they're setting up something with Hydra coming back. Like whether or not Val is a double agent or something, or Viper or the Serpent Society are coming. I think that Val is going to be spearheading Hydra coming back, and I would not be shocked if they in the MCU incorporated the Serpent Society as a way of getting those characters or that organization back on the ground, because they're snakes. So Hydra, serpents, I mean, it's a no-brainer. It's, again, they love cramming things together in a good way that I don't have any doubt that, or any, would not have any inkling that they would not do this. So I think this is a very, very valid way to kind of bring these characters into it. And they're great villains. They're great aesthetic that you could sell and make, great marketing dollars off of toys and t-shirts and things like that. Lots of cool characters. Cobra, you got the Armadillo here. The Armadillo has always been like the C-lister that everyone loves to rip on, but he's actually, in my opinion, I think he's a really cool, interesting character, because he kind of always goes off, if you read this comic book, he kind of switches sides, and he's aesthetically a really cool looking villain that I think Inman does a great job drawing.
Throughout this whole series, he does a spectacular job. I mean,
yeah, true.
It's almost kind of deceptive in a way, because the way that he draws some of the pages seems almost flat. Like everyone looks great, but then he has these moments of close-ups in dark where a bunch of different light comes from different directions, and like you see close-ups of Sam flying, and there's just such dimension that he adds through, and I'm sure a lot of that. Yeah, that cover is a perfect example. I know that the colorist adds a lot to that, but really the fact that he puts those kinds of details in his pencils, it shows an extreme versatility, and it made every page in this series just a joy to look at. I really like Stuart Immonen.
Me too. I think, is he retired now?
I haven't seen him in a long time, but I don't know that for sure.
I think he either is taking a break or he's retiring, something like that. I think after Star Wars was the last kind of major thing he did,
Sure.
at least that I can remember.
Mm-hmm.
And his Star Wars was great. They were on Nal Hutta. They had he did Hutts, he did Dengar, a lot of fun. That was a really great Jason Aaron run. But yeah, this Inman knows what he's doing, man. He's great. And this terrific. Cap series is no exception to that. In fact, I would say when I went and read some of those Nick Spencer comics, the art was kind of lacking for me a little bit. It wasn't. I think Acuna, and I liked art. I liked the art. Acuna was fine. It wasn't bad. Yeah, he wasn't bad, but this is just, it seems so much more like a Captain America story because of the bright colors and the way he drew all the bad guys. And
Acuna is very muted. The first time I ever saw his work, he actually was an artist for, I think, 5 or 6 issues on Jeff Johns' Green Lantern, and that was a strange book because he seemed a strange choice just because his style does seem kind of muted and in a way kind of blurry. But the colors really struck out in Green Lantern when, like a plasma beam would shoot out of a power ring or when an aura was around somebody. But you don't have that in Captain America. So
no,
it doesn't seem like it's quite as solid of a fit as Immonen here is. And to be honest though, I haven't read Spencer's Sam Wilson stuff.
Haven't read any of it?
Not his Sam Wilson. Well, I guess I technically read one issue of his Sam Wilson, which was the last one because it was kind of the finale of both his Sam Wilson and Steve Rogers that led into the finale for Secret Empire.
Okay.
But I don't know. We might have to talk about Spencer's whole run.
We might have to at some point. I think Spencer's a fantastic writer. I really do. I don't know if he aesthetically is a Captain America writer. I think that might have been a misstep by Marvel a little bit.
I don't know. My perspective on his Secret Empire stuff and his Steve Rogers stuff has only gotten warmer with time, as opposed to the other way around. So.
Yeah, I'm willing to give it a shot. I love Nick Spencer, so I'm willing to give anything he writes a shot because I think I haven't really disliked anything he's written, to be quite honest. I mean, I didn't continue with Captain America just because I just didn't really. It just was like,
what we should do, which might be fun, is his Jimmy Olsen backups because he didn't do very many of them. Might be kind of fun.
That'd be fun. Yeah,
Fraction is doing a Jimmy Olsen series right now.
I'm sure he is.
I've never thought I'd see the day.
I'm sure Matt Fraction is doing great work somewhere in comic books and something like that. I'm sure he's doing something awesome.
What do you have against Fraction?
No, nothing. I'm sure he's listening to Throbbing Gristle and some avant-garde music while he's writing his comic books and swearing about mainstream comic books somewhere.
Say what you want. He was always one of the nicest dudes I ever met at a convention.
Hey, you can be nice. I just it's whatever. We'll talk about Matt Fraction.
Well, you've been in those situations though, where you go to a convention and
I don't like talking
admire
to people.
Someone.
I don't like I don't like talking to people I admire unless I'm absolutely in love and I want to talk to them for like 2 seconds and I leave. I'm not into that.
When you feel crestfallen when you find out that they're kind of a dick.
That's why I don't want to know. I don't want to know. I don't want anyone's opinion tainted of that I love because I don't want them to disappoint me because people will disappoint you. That's just reality, right?
But then they'll also surprise like the opposite. When the opposite happens, it's all the better. That's more rare. But regardless, this is the last issue in the Cap run, which is hilarious. It's Baron Blood, man. Like how rad is that? I mean, cool. I've always liked Baron Blood. And it shows again, like the whole other direction that Remender is going in when compared to his predecessor, because Brubaker was very ground level in a lot of ways. I mean, he still was playing in comics, so he did some pretty crazy things like with the Grand Director and with the Red Skull and Alexander Lukin and all of the machinations that were at
And
play in his
Zola.
run. And Zola, of course. But you never saw someone like Baron Blood in Brubaker's Cap run.
Yeah.
Or really the kind of off-the-wall craziness and zaniness that you get from someone like Sin. I think Batroc showed up a couple of times, but it didn't seem like Brubaker had nearly as much fun with it as Remender did.
No.
So,
well, and Baron Blood is kind of a deep cut.
yeah.
You know, I mean, so, and John, I know he showed up in Roger Stern and John Byrne's run, which is great. That's a great comic. Those are great Cap comics too, man. Cap's got some good runs, man. Really quickly, I just read the Captain storyline by Mark Grunwald, and that is still by far my favorite Captain America story. It's dated a little bit, obviously, and there's lots and lots of thought bubbles. We're talking like thought bubbles galore. And back in the 80s, that's how, like, everyone,
it's so weird that is a sign of an aged comic book now. It's just because no one uses them anymore.
Because they're all captions. They're all caption boxes, which is, I mean, it's whatever. It's fine. But regardless, there are so many great moments in that comic book series. But anyway, but the Roger Stern, John Byrne stuff, they use a lot of Baron Blood. Super good. I love the fact that he Reminder wanted to use them. And I'll be honest here, and I'm not saying I'd bet money on this, Chris, but I wouldn't be shocked if Baron Blood did show up in the MCU in a Captain America story because of Blade.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
So this could be a precursor to kind of, maybe not say you would see Captain America and Blade show up, but maybe he would show up in a Captain America story and then show up in a Blade story. Or, as they like to do now, the MCU, trade rogues maybe. Maybe he shows up in Blade.
Or like a backdoor pilot kind of a thing where... Well, because...
No, I mean straight up, like, it's like Mandarin and Shang-Chi, right?
Right.
That's what I mean.
And Madam Hydra, wasn't she supposed to show up first in a movie?
I don't remember.
I thought I heard that we were supposed to have already seen her in Black Widow. That character. Yeah.
No, I mean, but I wouldn't be shocked if they used Baron Blood in something else that wasn't.
Blade's a good thought, man. Honestly, I mean, I really hope I think that there's plenty of room in the MCU to do kind of a Marvel Knights kind of a sub-series. I think that would be awesome. I mean, presuming that with Daredevil, they also get like the Punisher back. But I mean, who knows? If there's definitely enough latitude in there to use those kinds of characters. And I mean, I would love to see Baron Blood show up in a more like dedicated Blood story, but I really have no idea how they're going to characterize Blade for the MCU.
Yeah, I don't know either. So anyway, in closing, we're gonna move on here. We got a lot of comics to cover, or more, not a lot, but yeah, you know what I'm saying. Closing up with Captain America's Rick Reminder's Captain America stuff.
Comment is great. I just want to say,
I forgot about the comments. I feel like a jerk now. Oh my gosh.
People will disappoint you, Paul. The comic pit.
Adam is right. He's right, man. Like, this is okay. First of all, I'm so sorry for everyone. Let me just use this time to kind of say thank you to everyone that's been saying. Let's see, Alex. Thank you, Alex. I appreciate that. Excellent. I would say that, Mr. Okay, sorry. What the heck? Sorry, 1 second.
If Zach is talking about costume, I don't know. I think that Reeves Superman still probably takes the cake.
That's a good point, Adam. That is a really dang good point, man. Like, I didn't even think about that. There's not enough white in Captain America's costume, but at the same time, I like the fact that it's mostly blue. I'm a blue guy.
Well, it was more there in like Secret Avengers, but he wasn't Cap by that point. He was Commander.
Right. It's okay, Andrew. It's okay if you're still watching. I appreciate it. I know. I have heard good things about Tokyo Ghost because that's Sean Murphy. Is it Sean Gordon Murphy? Is that his name?
Yeah.
So So he's So I've heard great things about Tokyo Ghost. Maybe we'll do on the binge. Maybe I'll have you on the binge, Andrew.
Didn't you do Outcast for Image as well? Or was that maybe that was Kirkman? I don't.
Well, Kirkman did. Yeah, he wrote it. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Sean might have drew it. I don't know, or drawn it. Excuse me, my language here.
Remender was also an inker too for a long time. Like he
was he? I didn't know that.
He inked Johns' Avengers run.
No way. Reminder did, huh?
Yeah, at least the first like 6, I think.
Okay.
We should do that, man. I don't know if you've read that, but
there's lots of things we have to do. But the good thing is we got
saying that.
But the good thing is we got lots of time to do it. So, and Adam, you're right. People will disappoint you. I need to get this. I need to get this quoted somewhere. That's genius.
That's like a comic binge T-shirt, right there.
Oh, so yeah. If I ever got like more than 500 or subscribers, maybe I could qualify to have a justified.
You're not that much of a cynic, though. Come on, man.
No, he knows. I think Adam knows that too. Adam, I missed you, man. I missed you on the last Spidey dude. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I don't know his middle name either. Sean Murphy who did White Knight, did Tokyo Ghost.
Sean Murphy is a rock star, and he also did Punk Rock Jesus, didn't he? That was fun.
Okay. No, yeah. See, Andrew, like me, didn't know he inked. Okay. So we're gonna move on to the Thunderbolts, and now I think because I have no idea, people, what Chris thinks of this run. I don't know if he read. Don't say it yet. I don't know if he's read it before this. I don't know if what he's thought about it, what he heard about it, or anything. I just made him read it, or read a good chunk of it anyway, because I read it for my episode of the.
Yeah, it was like a year-long run, right?
It was. Yeah. It was. And let me get my pictures up here. Where the heck am I? Sorry, guys. I'm all discombobulated. I don't know.
Pictures.
Yeah. So anyway, so we're gonna start here. We're gonna start with our friends here. And I think hold on a second. Yeah, there we go. All right, so we're gonna start here. Now, sorry, let me get this comment off. Sorry, Andrew, I'm not trying to be mean here, but I just gotta take this.
It starts at 110.
Yeah, it starts at 110. Yeah. Okay, so for those who are wondering, where do you read, or where's a good starting point for Thunderbolts? There's lots of starting points for Thunderbolts. There's lots of crazy things. This is where I recommend people to go to first. This is one of my favorite Marvel, maybe my favorite Marvel series or runs. I don't know. When I say favorite, I mean like top 20 maybe, which is saying a lot. This could be it. I loved this series when it came out. It's much different than the original Thunderbolts was made into. This all takes place after the Marvel 616 Civil War, and it's all about registering heroes and things like that. And the Thunderbolts work for the government, and the team is crazy. Now, I say in the video, I'm going to say now, I don't think that these characters per se are going to be straight into a movie, but it's the premise. It's the idea. It's the aesthetic that Warren Ellis and Mike Deodato is so good. They make in the series. There is an aesthetic and an ongoing theme in this series that I think will be, in my opinion, I think will be a huge influence on whatever incarnation of Thunderbolts they roll into, or Dark Avengers, especially with Thunderbolts. But this does tread a little bit closer to Suicide Squad than maybe I would care to admit to an extent. That being said, this is where you want to go, I think, for anything. I think Thunderbolts, in my opinion, this is a great starting point because you get a good idea of where they're going or where they've been and where they might, again, where they've been before. What did, Zemo's affiliated? I talked about in the video. What does that mean? All that stuff. So you'll see here, it ends on 121. So like, as Chris said, it's a full year. And I think this series is one of the best in this era by far. And the artwork, the writing, I know Warren Ellis is a lightning rod in the comics industry at this point, and rightfully so. He's done some questionable, awful things, and I'm not exactly condoning that. I'm not even gonna say exactly. I'm saying I'm not condoning that at all. But I can't help but I liked a lot of his work before all this stuff came out. So I got to be real and say that I do think this could definitely influence heavily the Thunderbolts, whether it be a TV series or a film, which I'll get into that in a second. So Chris, what's your take on the Thunderbolts? I don't know it. And those were wondering, you end on 121 here. That's where I have the little yellow mark at. What's your take on the Thunderbolts? What was your take on the series? And what were your expectations going in? Did you read it before I told you to?
I love the John Ostrander run.
Dude, the first 25, 30 issues of that Ostrander run of Suicide Squad, phenomenal. It's chef's kiss. It's so good.
No, that's obviously a joke. I mean,
I know where you're getting at with this.
Look, the T-Bolts have never really been a go-to for me in terms of Marvel stuff. While I was working at a shop, I checked in occasionally. The Thunderbolts that I think I was most in tune for was Daniel Way's. But it wasn't.
That's Heroic Age, right?
Marvel Now.
Oh.
It wasn't bad. Like Deadpool was a part of it.
Oh God, get that out of here.
Daniel Way and Deadpool always makes things fun.
I like his Deadpool, and I love Daniel Way's Wolverine Origins stuff with Steve Dillon. That was great.
Yeah,
but
I mean, I didn't stick with that book for very long either because it's not really what I look for in a comic book reading experience. The thing that I found really interesting, because I had never read this before, in reading the first issue especially, it seems, and I'm sure that a lot of it is because of Mike Deodato, but it seemed like a forerunner to Dark Avengers. That's something that I found interesting. Penance was a character I had been exposed to before, but actually the first time I had ever even heard of Penance was when I played Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2. He was one of the selectable characters in that, and I thought that he had a really interesting story because in that game they detail like what happened, what the deal is with his suit, and I mean, Robbie Baldwin was never a character that I really gravitated toward, but it just seemed like they did something that was unique and interesting with him. Yeah. But
you didn't like Speedball? What's wrong with you?
I was never a huge Speedball guy. I'm sorry. I was never a huge Speedball. I'm sure that
How could you not love Speedball? Look at this.
Someone's favorite Marvel Comics character.
He's sure. Like, yes. Just one person out there.
Yeah,
okay,
right.
Okay, I'm gonna go on a little bit of a rant about Penance here. Okay. Okay, this is Penance, for those who don't know. And he was drastically altered because based off Civil War. To be quite honest, I think the Speedball story is one of the strongest elements of the Civil War 616 comic book series and all of that. And it's a goddamn shame that Penance is not in the Marvel Universe right now. Chris Yost, he wrote New Warriors, Marvel Now, I believe, and he had Scarlet Spider, Kane comic book character in that series. I love Chris Yost. I think he's a solid writer. He actually co-wrote with Taika Ragnarok. He also co-wrote Dark World, but we don't want to talk about that one either. He actually also co-wrote some Mandalorian episodes as well and some Star Wars Rebels. I think he's a solid writer, and
you like his X-Force, right?
I loved his X-Force. Him and Craig Kyle's X-Force, I thought was great.
Yeah. So
what I would say though is that what I bring him up because in his New Warriors run, he had Speedball. He was like, Robbie, like super annoying, like, blah. But then he had these moments where he'd look in the mirror and he'd see Penance staring right at him. And I was like, yes, that's what I'm talking about. I love the idea that Robbie has got this dark side now. It's an earned dark side. Like there is legitimate guilt in with this guy. And for those who don't know what happened, again, this is kind of a spoiler alert, I guess, but whatever. I think it's worth knowing.
It's like 15 years ago.
Well, no, I want people to read Civil War and know there is a lot of stuff going on with it, but this is kind of a mild spoiler. But Robbie, who was Speedball, him and the New Warriors, the whole thing starts. They basically start the Civil War. And he's one of the only survivors after attacking these supervillains that kills, thousands of people or whatever. And the thing is that Robbie felt guilt. So his powers were all kind of messed up through his guilt, and he has to hurt himself in order to basically turn his power on. And as you can see here, that Robbie is in this really, really weird, crazy suit that he has to hurt himself, and you'll kind of see what it looks like. It's actually, in my opinion, I think it's a really cool costume. To be quite honest, this is him right here. This is great. I think it's a great costume.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing that immediately got my attention because that's the suit that he has in Ultimate Alliance 2. I was like, who is this guy? He looks intense. And
yeah,
then here he
You're
is.
like, that's Speedball?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, right. So the thing is, and I love this is why I think that these kind of elements could be playing their part in the MCU, not penances themselves, but the idea that this team is full of a lot of gray characters, a lot of really tormented characters. And this is different than the Suicide Squad, because the Suicide Squad has a lot of just bad guys, a lot of D-listers and C-listers, and there's not a lot of, I would say, anti-heroes. There's a few maybe, but with Thunderbolts, there's either pure evil or some morally gray characters, and you have Songbird, which we'll get into her in a second. And Radioactive Man, which Radioactive Man is still kind of he's kind of in the gray area, but whereas I'd say Songbird isn't. This run particularly, I think is so great because it goes into the psychology of all the characters, of what makes these characters tick a little bit. And also just how out of their league these villains are sometimes, of just trying to attack a regular hero. And I love that Warren Ellis keeps that aesthetic of like, we're going to take on Jack Flag, and Jack Flag just kicks a crap out of him. Like, I love that. Like, there's something so cool about that it took, well, granted, he had some help because Venom was going to eat him and then got electrocuted or something like that. So there is, he had some look on his side, but he handled himself. And I like that idea that they kind of were, they weren't a team, and that's why they kind of failed. So there's lots of great character moments here. And I kind of think where I think the MCU could borrow a lot of this from is the fact that their government and Norman Osborn is the one that is running this whole shenanigans, right? So Norman Osborn is running this team of supervillains or anti-heroes or whatever, and he's trying to keep them in line, and he's basically he's barely hanging on itself. Now, I said in my video, Chris, that I think that Norman Osborn is probably going to be replaced by the Thunderbolt Ross, because Thunderbolt Ross is kind of like, he's not really a good guy, he's not really a bad guy, he's just he's not really great. I think that's where we're going to go. I think the Red Hulk is going to make his grand entrance into the Thunderbolts, and I think the way he does that is by he's orchestrating all these people, and then he realizes they're out of control, and he's got to go in and regulate.
He was part of Thunderbolts in Daniel Way's run.
Yeah, I know. Were they all red? Was that the aesthetic?
Yeah, that was what tied them
together. I'm sorry, that was so stupid.
Was Elektra part of it too?
It was Elektra too. I remember. This is so this is where I think they're going to go with the character. But with all that being said, Warren Ellis's run, I think, is a great read for one, if you love if you want to get into comic books. But also, I think there's a lot of cool different things that they're going to use in this, and I'm curious your take on this. First of all, tell me what you think of the run. What do you think of, and where are you kind of in line a little bit? And again, I'm not saying they're going to verbatim take this and adapt it. I think there's going to be a lot of borrowed things from this series, though. I'm curious your take on this. Sir, you have the floor.
In terms of observations, one of the things that I found surprising about the first issue in particular was that I got like a really big RoboCop vibe off of it. It felt very kind of Verhoeven-ish, not just because they had the toy commercials with the Thunderbolts playset coming out of Thunderbolt Mountain and beating down Captain America, and
it's those themes, man.
Propagandic,
like what makes a hero, what makes a villain.
Yeah, and it was so that part of it seemed really potent. The character work is what is strongest to me here, particularly with Moonstone. I wasn't because Moonstone. I don't know. When I read Dark Avengers, I never really got that much of an impression about what her deal was. And you get it far more just in the very first issue of this, to say nothing of how disastrous her leadership of the team ends up being. But Norman clearly feels like there's someone there that is kind of a kindred spirit in that she is completely amoral. Not immoral necessarily, but amoral. It's just not a concern for her. She doesn't give a damn. and she doesn't care what she has to do. And they talk in those early sessions about how best she can manipulate people. And that I found really, really interesting. And I would have liked to have seen more of that. And I'll probably finish the run at some point.
There's a lot more with that, I think, going on.
Sure.
This run, like you brought up RoboCop. That's a great analogy. In fact, I wouldn't be shocked if that's what the main influence on this series, to be quite honest, because there's a lot of satire in with as well. But that's the brilliance of this run, to be quite honest. And Warren Ellis is it's hard. He's very flippant when he writes. Like, and I say that in a positive, actually, because he just kind of he just goes for it. Like, he does not care. He does not mince like words, and I say mince words meaning he doesn't waste time. Like, he's not gonna I want to make sure the readers are gonna be happy with this new incarnation, so I gotta kind of no, he's like, no, here we go, bam, like I'm going satire, like, who are the Thunderbolts? Thunderbolts are gonna save our lives, and like they're all full of villains. I mean, like the satire, the themes, all those things are heavy handed. I mean, I look back at his Moon Knight series and how just ridiculously over the top that he just goes right for it. He doesn't waste time. He doesn't try to go, well, I'm going to have Moon Knight take on this, a common villain that he's already, nope. I'm going to have him take on punk rock Ghost. That's what Warren Ellis did. And it was amazing. And Thunderbolts is no different. He goes straight into the satire. He goes straight into like the ridiculousness of everything. And again, he embraces it. And that's where I think that I wonder if they're going to go that route. The Avengers have not been villainized really yet, right? Like in the MCU. And this is where I think
they've come close. They haven't crossed the threshold, though.
Right? Yeah. No, and they won't be, because they obviously have. They saved the universe and they brought the world back. Right?
See, I mean,
go ahead, go for it, go. This
is a path to eventually get to Dark Avengers if they wanted to do it.
Can I talk really quick? I just got to add it. I'm sorry. You brought up a great point. I brought this up on the MCU fan show. I think, because we all know Secret Invasion is coming, right? Okay. So, Chris, let me tell you something. If you don't know what happens in the initial from Thunderbolts after this amazing run, Secret Invasion's next, okay? Just keep this all in mind. Then a Secret Invasion, and then it goes into Dark Avengers. What happens in Secret Invasion that starts Dark Avengers? Norman Osborn kills the Queen. So, and saves the world. What I think could happen is the Thunderbolts are secret. They save the nation, and then they become the new Avengers, but they're being like manipulated. Again, there's gonna be half the team is gonna be bad, half the team is gonna be good, or someone, again, what we have here. I think that's where we're gonna get US Agent. I think US Agent, all those Val is gonna be getting them, other people as well, and using them to basically usher in this new Avengers team that we're gonna have the Red Hulk. Because again, there's that aesthetic. And I think you brought up a great point that this is definitely a precursor. I think we're going to get the Thunderbolts. We're going to get the Thunderbolts in some way as a secretive team, and they're going to incorporate Thunderbolts and Dark Avengers, kind of mush it together and give you an Avengers team that's probably going to be opposed by whatever the Young Avengers are going to be called. Hopefully they're called Young Avengers, because I hate the Crusaders or Champions. Champions is a terrible name. Crusaders is a lot better, but that's a different property. So
they should just make it lead into the New Avengers with Sam Wilson as Captain America, hopefully.
But they're playing the long game, though, Holmes.
Spider-Man and maybe Wolverine.
Leave Wolverine out of the Avengers.
Oh, come on! If you're gonna do New Avengers, then Logan has to be a part of it.
No.
Yes.
No.
Absolutely.
All right. Anyway, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I just wanted to say that I do think
that's a very viable path forward. The problem that I see as just a comic book fan, this is where my comic book fandom is going to get annoying to myself too. If they decide to quote unquote recast Norman Osborn as General Ross, am I just going to be missing Norman Osborn? Obviously, Norman Osborn there are legal difficulties attached to
I
expanding
don't know,
the
not anymore,
potential.
man.
I don't know. I mean, it sounds like granted, the business side of the negotiations and the contracts and things are not my forte, but I'm led to believe, at least through my understanding, that this is a temporary accord to keep Spider-Man in the MCU, and that's on top of all of the other associated characters, of which I assume Norman Osborn is one in terms of the legalities, which is tragic because Norman Osborn as a villainous presence in the universe was really, really well exploited during Dark Reign, and especially so in Dark Avengers. If they really wanted to get a path through, Thunderbolts to potentially a kind of Dark Avengers team, Ross is probably the best way to do it, but they can't have nearly as much of a potent, outright villainous story about the subversion of power if they don't have someone as evil as Norman Osborn that's in charge.
And this is where I think Baron Zemo could turn into that. Even I mean, I think
maybe
I don't think it's gonna be straight up evil, because Norman Osborn is very specific. What I do think is it's gonna be corrupted, because Thunderbolt Ross is not a bad guy, but he's not a good guy really
exactly. But that's the thing, is that the thing with Norman Osborn is that he was able to put this front on to be the head of Hammer and to be the face of not only the Avengers but really the entire law enforcement apparatus, right? He was the one who was given the keys to the kingdom while his madness was still pushing. The Goblin came out really at the very end of Siege again, and it culminated in kind of a cool punch drawn by Olivier Coipel from Spider-Man. But Norman Osborn as a villainous presence just fed so well into every corner of the Marvel Universe that they could adapt if they wanted to. Like I know you might not appreciate it as much, but I really liked the story of Osborn as the head of Hammer in the Invincible Iron Man story.
No, I liked it too.
As Tony was deleting his brain. And of course, the first thing that Norman does when he thinks he gets access to the superhuman registration is to see who Spider-Man is.
I do. And that Fraction's Iron Man run is good. I've said that from the beginning. That's my favorite Fraction besides the first 6 issues of Hawkeye. Like those comics are great. He can be great.
He wouldn't have Spider-Man Homecoming if it wasn't for Invincible Iron Man #7. That's all I'm saying.
No, it's been a while since I read that comic, but I remember liking it when it came out. So
that was like the first interaction between Tony and Peter after One More Day happened, and it's clear that there's like some weird shenanigan, and Tony thinks he might know something, but also doesn't because of all of that weird stuff. But it's just a really solid team up between the two of them.
So continuing with Thunderbolts and the series, so that was my fault. Sorry,
Norman. I will feel like it will be less than. That's not to say that they couldn't do something where General Ross's story is about like he has such good intentions and he just loses control. There's obviously things that they can do if they decided not to use Norman Osborn.
I think I think that's the most viable thing, honestly, Chris, because I think Thunderbolt Ross, if you again watch Incredible Hulk, that he totally loses, he loses control. I mean,
even by Infinity War, he is so dead set against the deployment of the Avengers that are still on the right side of the law, and he sees Steve Rogers as nothing but a blatant criminal when he walks into the Avengers compound. He clearly harbors the same kind of animosity toward the Avengers, and I'm sure toward Banner, that he always had. So if there's a story in there about it takes such a massive screw up on his part to understand the need that exists for the Avengers, that could be interesting.
See,
I still don't know if it would be as good as what you could do with Norman Osborn.
Think of it this way, okay? I want you to think about this, that Thunderbolt Ross, you brought up a great point. He was so anti anyone who was not on his side. Right, like meaning like he resented all those Avengers, and
he didn't look like he was happy to be at Tony's funeral. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. So think of this.
That's a bad example. No one's happy to be at a funeral, but you know what I mean.
But think of it this way: what if he thinks what we need is controlled government agents like Blonsky? but we control them completely. Not in him manipulating people could be part of it. He tried to manipulate Blonsky.
So that's where like the imposed weaknesses that they allude to in the first issue of this run, kind of like the control measures they had for the Suicide Squad.
Very much so. Very much so. And I think that's one thing I think that we're going to get from, again, and I also think that Val, maybe Thunderbolt, I mean, his name is General Thunderbolt Ross. And if they call him the Thunderbolts, he's got to be involved. He's got to be. But what is Val doing? I don't know where she kind of fits into all this. So,
well,
she kind of, go ahead.
And to argue with myself for a second, do you, if you can, let's say that all of the legal roadblocks are clear and that they can use Norman Osborn.
They shouldn't.
Would it be as potent or as powerful if he doesn't have the same kind of long-standing history in the universe that comic book Norman Osborn does? Because if they haven't introduced Norman in the MCU yet, the first stop should be the Green Goblin. The strength of the Norman Osborn by the time you get to, T-Bolts and Dark Avengers is that he has done all of that stuff, and Tony has basically given him a second chance by leading S.H.I.E.L.D. in the Avengers Initiative. So would it be as powerful if you just said, hey, here's Norman Osborn, and he's never been Green Goblin before?
No, I don't think so. I think you have to show him with Spider-Man, but maybe you build up towards that. Maybe this is how you do that. I don't know. I think that's a possibility. I don't know. There's so many great characters in the series that I think they could use, and one of them. And before I move on really quickly and do a different cover, I wanted to say I love Steel Spider, and why he has not been used since is beyond me. This is no crap. I had the first appearance of Steel Spider from Spider-Man Unlimited. I think it's issue 4. He used to be the Spectacular Spider Kid. If you guys don't remember him, he was an overweight Spider-Man costume with like Doc Ock arms and glasses over his eyes of the costume, and they made him this like kind of. I dug the costume, and there's moments in this comic I don't even want to spoil. Like, it's so good. Like, Warren Ellis took a bunch of D-listers and C-listers and made him really interesting. I'll be honest, man. I'm like, dang, I never even thought about using Steel Spider like he did, and he made him interesting. Why they haven't revisited him since is beyond me. Because,
but at the same time, too, maybe they're just waiting for something that makes sense and that's as strong as.
I think no one cares about the characters in one, except for me. I care about the character. I'll bring him back. Marvel, hire me.
People care so much about, because you see Stiltman on a surprisingly regular basis.
But as a joke, though, see, I think there's a lot of great character potential here. That again, this I love what they did here with American Eagle and the other character. I forgot her name. And this is the thing that I think the either the TV show or movie could do is you could use this to introduce more heroes that are now showing up in the MCU proper, because now you have the Avengers gone. Who's taking the place of the Avengers? That's a story that they need to talk about too, because now they're gone. Who's taking their places? And maybe Thunderbolt Ross will want to use his team to kind of get out there. And this is a way to kind of introduce new characters, which we'll get that in a second. So wrapping up your thought,
it would be a story I would like to see. I mean, if Sam felt half as strongly about correctly assuming and taking control of the Avengers as he did about Captain America, that would be interesting.
No, I agree. I'm with Andrew here. I definitely think they're setting up the return of the new Avengers to be a big deal, and they've got to show us what we're gonna throw at what the world's gonna try to throw at these threats first, which is gonna be the Thunderbolts. We're gonna get, and that's why there's gotta be reasons these people exist. So like Thunderbolts, Fantastic Four, all that stuff. Oh, what happened? I don't have enough. Oh, let's see here.
Yeah, that just has to be a perfect comic book cover for you. He's absolutely right.
Adam, here, really quickly. Adam, I'm gonna get you on here, man. I gotta get you on here. You're hilarious. Hold on, I'm gonna invite you. Really quick. I know we've only got a few minutes, but I got to get you on. I miss you. Hold on. Chris, while I get Adam on, if I can get him on, give me your thoughts on this series as a whole. I'm curious if you what you think.
Well, look, I'm not going to say that. Look, the writing is solid. It's a shame that I couldn't read this when it came out because anything with Ellis's name on it is going to have a bad taste. Unfortunately, that's just the way that it is. I can't deny that that's there now. I can't help it. I wish I could, but I can't. That doesn't mean that it's not a cool story and that it's worth reading, especially if you've got the Marvel Unlimited app. But that's always the struggle when you learn about something that someone did that you might have used to admire. It sucks. There's no way around it. Maybe you don't care. I did. And I wish I could have just read this.
I knew it. I knew when you got this, you'd be like, no. Again, I don't blame you. I don't blame you.
It's not like I want to feel that way. It's just like I'm aware of these things now, and I can't say that it doesn't touch the reading experience. I don't want to lie and say that it didn't matter at all to me because
lie for me, please. Lie for me.
Lie to me.
Lie to me.
But on the other hand, too, like Mike Deodato is one of my all-time favorite comic book artists. I'm still a little weirded out that he clearly models Norman Osborn after Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah.
But other than that, he's got such a great command of scale, and he's got such a beautiful pencil that I can't deny the greatness of his. He's spectacular, and that just continues. Like that's why when I read this for the first time, I immediately thought of Dark Avengers because there's some thematic connection between the two.
Well,
but
I'll get that in a second, really quick.
Okay,
Misty,
yeah.
I'm not sure what you're referring to. Just clarify for me, and I will clarify anything we need. What's this? If you're talking about the Spider-Man cover or the Steel Spider versus Penance cover, just go read the first 3-4 issues of Thunderbolts. It's a 110. I'll pop it up on the list here real quick. Adam, what the hell, dude? I miss you. What's up?
How's it going, man?
Fellas?
Not much, dude. Not much. I did. First of all, people that don't know, I do a podcast with Adam here on the Spidey Dude Network, the Spidey Dude Experience, and I love this guy to death. And I just was like, I was looking forward to talking with my boys, and I'm like, where's Adam? And I was like, dang it, like this sucks. Where is he? And he's here. So I'm going to take this cover off so we can actually have a proper conversation with my bud. So, dude, first of all, really quick, have you read we'll go with the first one, Captain America, the all new Captain America, Sam Wilson. Have you read any of that?
No.
I'm not surprised.
But now I kind of want to.
Attaboy. Did I win you over?
A little bit, yeah. It sounds cool.
All right. Okay. We got this. Hold on a second. Let me get this back to normal. So now I'm not the only one. Oh God. Hold on. Stop it. There we go. That's much better. I don't like the other way. So you haven't read that, but you're interested now into this. Okay. Fair enough. What about Thunderbolts? Have you read this at all?
No, but I've seen like some of the Green Goblin pages and all that funny stuff going on there.
Dude, I'm telling you, for those who don't know, I'm telling you, these Thunderbolts comics are legit comic books. I know Warren Ellis is a lightning rod. I get it. He's kind of he's a jerk. I get it.
Sure. Yeah.
Just don't think about him writing the comics. Just think of the beautiful art that Deodato gives you, and just think of the stories. And it's so good. But yeah, Baron Zemo, and for those who don't know, I'm just gonna say he's connected to the Thunderbolts in the origins of the team. I'll just leave it there. But I do think he'll play a part in whatever is going to happen. I think it's too on the nose what they're doing with everything right now. But what was your take on the Falcon Winter Soldier TV series? I'm assuming you finished it or watched it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
What'd you think?
I liked it. They're a good duo. Those two guys. What else? Zemo was great.
I know.
Yeah. I know. Like when we were talking about nonstop Spidey, I had criticisms of his portrayal at the end of that first issue, and like but I think like if you want to have him, I feel like they did that better in the show. It was a similar thing, but not totally similar. It was a way. It was something that was just. That's kind of how you do it if you want him to be like hip or whatever. What else? Yeah, the suit looks good. That U.S. agent suit looks really good. I mean, you can't really the black is just
So good.
That's one of the best suits in the MCU, and it's probably just because it's all black but it's got the flag on it right.
Dude,
so it looked really good.
It's literally the costume. It's literally the U.S. agent's costume.
Yeah,
it's perfect.
I love how that thing looks. Like I said, the Sam costume, it's almost actually jarring how good the Sam costume translated over.
Yeah. Then we talked about that. I'm not sure if you heard me before. I said it's so white. It just
it is kind of like it is like I really do appreciate the white, but it is almost kind of like whoa, like is there almost too much? But it looks good.
Yes, exactly. You get it. You get it.
Hey,
I do get it.
That's the impression you're supposed to get, right?
Yeah,
as soon as he shows up somewhere, who looks like oh no, it's the Shield. It's coming right at my face.
Right. I mean, you had a good point. Say what you said earlier in the chat.
Well, yeah, just when I said that, like, because we sort of had a little thing on Twitter about it yesterday or something. My favorite Captain America suit in all of the movies is that one in First Avenger.
Right.
And I like that. I like the Winter Soldier one too. That more like that was his like in the comics. That was like his more shield suit or whatever, wasn't it, or something
I like that. Was kind of based off of his Secret Avengers one.
Yeah, that. Yeah. I like those suits because I just feel like I thought they nailed how the suit looks in the comics with that the one that they end up going with in the first Avenger. I thought because my big problem is that with Cap suits is like in every movie after that he gets less of the white, and I'm like I want more of the white on there. Like I want the arms to be white at least, because then it basically it's just the abs basically, and that's it.
White.
Yeah, it's just it's like the flag abs, and that's all he's got white wise, and the star, and the star, and the A, but those are so small. They're not like, well, I mean, they're kind of striking, but it's small, I don't know.
This sounds very similar to the perennial debate that I hear about whether or not Superman should have trunks. Just because, and I'm pro trunks, by the way.
Yeah.
Because it breaks up the costume. It's just like really nicely segmented.
Exactly.
It's actually a really good point. That's a really good point.
That's what I think. See, for some reason, this is my problem with I like blue. Paul, you said you're a fan of the color blue. Yeah. I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with blue, but there's something about blue where like you need to break it up. Like because it just kind of seems boring when there's too much of it. Like with Superman, the trunks, like it looks weird when he doesn't have the trunks. It looks weird. It's like there's too much
incomplete.
Yeah, it's like it's just because his whole bodysuit is blue. And his cape is red, and that's good. But then he's got the yellow and red shield on his chest. But there's just something, and the boots are red. But then it's like when the whole body is just blue. There's something about that seems like you need a little something else.
It was weird. His costume right after Rebirth happened. It was just like all blue. There were no trunks. The belt was red. He didn't even have red boots. He just had the lines that were.
Oh yeah,
at the top it was really strange.
I almost feel like the belt shouldn't be red. The belt should probably be yellow.
Yeah. The yellow and it just nicely.
Yeah, there's something about that. Like
the yellow.
The whole.
Yeah.
With Captain America, it's almost like
with Cap though, like white is he kind of needs the white on there.
He's not wrong.
No.
Yeah, Superman's definitely wearing a onesie.
Well, and it's like, it goes back to like the New 52 costume that was also really blue, but it also had like the high collar. And
Oh
it's
yeah,
just
yeah.
but with Captain America, I remember being really nervous about how they were going to adapt it before the first Avenger came out, like before you saw any pictures or anything, because you hear comic book artists talk about his costume, and there are some people who have said that his costume is even more difficult than getting the webbing right on Spider-Man, because like the top part is textured differently depending on who you see draw it. Like John
Scales,
Cassaday puts the scales like on the top, but like Joe Quesada makes it kind of ribbed instead of putting that intense kind of detail into it. Or it changes kind of like the length of Batman's cape depending on who draws it. Yeah. But it is kind of a busy suit, all things considered. So the way that they approached it for the first Avenger was really kind of elegant in the way that they made it kind of rooted to the time period. But it also just added to his formidability. If there's any criticism I have for that suit, it's going to sound stupid, but it's like his eye holes are too big on the bottom. Like there's too much space down here. That's the only thing about it that bugs me. And then I thought they refined it for Winter Soldier in the very last part of the movie because they added the stripe to it, but it also seemed like it might have been a little more svelte instead of
Yeah, actually, I saw I don't think I realized that until the other day. There's concept art. And it is two different suits, technically, which I don't think I knew before, because it's it might be kind of a blink and you miss it, or like, oh, if you're not paying too much attention, then you sort of miss it. But regardless, it looks good, I think. So.
Yeah, and they did a really good job with Sam Wilson's suit. I mean, you're right; it is so striking the first time that you see it. Yeah. It's but that in a good way. I mean, he clearly makes a splash. But I mean, there is a wrong way to go about adapting Captain America's suit. I don't know if you've played this at all, but this is from the new Crystal Dynamics Avengers game.
No, that is a bad suit.
It just looks. I mean, he looks like
it's too much blue, and he doesn't have the red. There's no red on the abdomen. I mean, there's little red
lines.
Stripes. Yeah, little red stripes, but it's blue. It's like no, there's too much blue.
It's so busy, and it just looks like riot gear. It's when he puts this on, it's better, but it's still not. This isn't the right way to do it. When I play the game, I don't use this costume. I use a different one. Yeah. But no, it's a tricky thing to pull off because the traditional suit by modern standards, I guess, might seem gaudy to some people. I mean, I like it, but
it's I don't know. There's kind of it feels to me. I mean, I guess it could be gaudy-ish, but I think it's kind of like there's something about it that it looks good. They, I don't know. I mean, he could have like an American flag cape or something, but he doesn't.
Yeah. Paul, what did you think of this design?
Oh God, is that from the game?
It's from the game, yeah.
Oh God, it's awful.
So yeah.
It looks like he's playing catcher for like the
Marvel,
actually, he's gonna catch for the
NFL. He's NFL Super Pro.
dude, Super Pro looks better than that still.
It's funny. This quote is all over the game, and it's from an issue of Amazing.
Really?
Oh yeah, the Mark Twain. It's is it the it's when it's the no you move thing, right?
Yeah, it's from Civil
War. Okay.
And he even says, like, after you beat up an enemy a couple of times, you can even hear him say sometimes, "No, you move." And it's so weird that because they've even adapted it into the Civil War movie from Sharon, right? And that didn't happen in a Captain America comic. It's kind of weird.
Well, just for the record, I'm just gonna mute all you guys after I say this, but the 2012 Cap costume is still the best. I don't care what you all say; it's still the best. Man. People want to tech SH about it all the time. I'm like, no, dude.
Again, the arms need to be more white, and then just make the helmet make the helmet a helmet like all the other ones.
Yeah, not like this next sock.
It would be good. Yeah.
I thought the 2012 suit was an improvement on the Ultimate design. So You know?
Listen, to be quite honest, the fact that Captain America has like my least favorite one is maybe the Age of Ultron one, which even that one's not that bad. It's still fine. The fact that he's had that many good suits, when you look at the adaptation of his costume, what it is in the comic books, is pretty impressive.
Oh wait, you were talking about the movie. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought because in 2012 was Marvel Now. I thought you were talking about that.
No, I'm talking about like the costume.
You're talking about the 2012 movie. Oh, okay.
Hell yeah,
that
dude.
one didn't bug me as much as it bugged some people because it was the most like his classic suit.
Exactly. That's why I love it. And it looks amazing.
The neck sock was a little weird, but beyond that,
I love it. Give me the neck sock, dude. Just give it to me. I love it.
No.
Give me the neck. Hey, you know what? Sam's helmet. Keeping it though. Sam's keeping it real. The neck sock too.
But see that there's something, but he's not wearing like that weird helmet thing that
that is America's ass.
Well, yeah, that is. You're right. Yeah, that is. So Adam, man. So you sounds like you like the series like we did.
It was good, yeah.
Yeah, you need to get on those comic books though. I'm assuming you have access to like Marvel Unlimited or something like that. But if you don't, get on it, man, because I'm telling you, those are some good comic books. We got to talk about it. I'd love to talk about it with you just when we're chilling. So, cause they're freaking good.
Man, I wouldn't be averse at some point on this going back to the beginning of Remender either.
We'll do it. We'll do. As we grow and hopefully we get more viewers and things.
Just
like
do a year of Captain America. We'll do Remender. We'll go back to Spencer. We'll do
all of it, man. Yeah.
We'll do all of Grunwald.
Hey, the more people we get that who want to watch us, we'll keep doing it. So if people want us to do all these things, and they should like the channel, and subscribe, or like the video, subscribe. All that crap. We'll do it. And obviously, I know I've been talking a long time to do. Me and Adam will be eventually doing Radiant Black at some point. Maybe we'll wait till maybe a couple more issues come out, and we'll do it.
Yeah, the third one just came out.
Did it?
Yeah, it came out last week.
Oh, I haven't read it yet. I had totally missed it.
Yeah, I didn't read it yet either. But
there you go.
I want to say that the first arc is like 5 or 6. So yeah, maybe I guess that'd be a couple more months. So.
We got time. We'll have you on besides this. But are you reading anything right now that you want to talk about real quick?
What was I reading? What have I been reading? It's a good question. What did I pick up? I want to read Simonson's Thor. That's
dude. That's what I'm talking about.
That's something that I'm gonna try to like. I'm gonna
that's a big undertaking.
I'm gonna splurge on because I bought like the Beta Ray Bill trade. It was like a 90s trade.
Hell yeah, dude. That's
but I bought
right there.
I bought the last weekend. I bought that first volume of the Simonson's Thor run, and I think I'm just gonna like pick up all those and try to read that at some point.
Dude, it's and for those who are wondering, Walt Simonson's Thor it's incredible. So yeah, don't be sleeping on that series. And it's funny enough, I actually finished. I had the last, I think, like 6 or 8 issues of that run. I had never finished. I finally finished it, and there is a comic which maybe we'll do like a review of it at some point. Where it's go ahead.
We'll go ahead. No, you go ahead.
I'm sorry. No, you go. You move. It's a whole comic of splash pages.
Oh,
it's so rad though.
I've heard of that. I think,
dude, it's legit. Like it's Simonson just going. Simonson's so good.
I thought you were gonna say something about that, like his own Thor thing that he's doing for IDW, which I want to check that out too.
No, I haven't seen that. No, what is it?
It's called Ragnarok.
Is it actually like it's not Thor canon? It's like
it's more. I think it's supposed to be more like Norse stuff.
It's heavily influenced by his Thor run, but it's not Thor canon 616. Gotcha. Yeah. No, I'm sure it's good. I mean, he's still a phenomenal artist. He's incredible.
Yeah, he is, and he's good.
He's so good, dude. He's so good. Yeah, that run, and y'all know that when he's not drawing the comic, he's got Sal Buscema drawing it for him.
Yeah.
So I mean, like that is such a, you can't go wrong with reading that, man. It's surprisingly how good he is as a writer. I mean, like, again, he's not like, I'm not saying he's like Alan Moore or like Frank Miller, but I mean, he like the way he writes all their dialogue and everything.
He's shockingly consistent.
No, exactly. Yeah, he's shockingly consistent. It's crazy how legit he is.
And on the good side of consistent.
Absolutely. It just shows you that, in comic books, you don't have to be
his wife is too.
Oh, Wheezy's awesome, dude. You kidding me?
They're doing
go ahead. The X-Men Legends book.
Yeah.
I mean, when she was doing Superman, she wrote one of the single most emotionally affecting comic books I have ever read, accompanied with the death of Superman.
Wow.
And it's still, like, I read it now and I can barely hold it together. It's beautiful.
Her creation with the artist, and I'm not sure who she co-created it with besides the artist, maybe Mike Carlin, the editor, but Steel was a phenomenal concept that she created that will, I think it goes beyond. It's underrated. Not what you're saying too. I mean, I know she's a great writer. Her New Mutants run's super good. I mean, it got kind of stale at the end, I think, but she did some cool stuff with the New Mutants too. And X Factor, obviously, with her husband, they had a great run. I mean, they brought in Apocalypse, Archangel. I mean, they're responsible for a lot of good stuff in the X-Men universe. But no, like her contribution to Superman with Steel is really underrated. I think that character is such a great character, and I'll never forget. Even as a kid, I totally I gravitated towards Steel. It just kind of sucks that it didn't do much with the character. I felt
they really haven't. I mean, the last time he really played kind of a prominent role, if I'm not mistaken, was back in 52, which was 2006 and 7, and that was a long time ago now.
I don't have a story for the guy. I don't know what you could tell with him. I'm sure, but there's something out there with him and a Superman story that you could tell.
He expands the family. That's the coolest part of I mean, his origin story on its own was really compelling story.
Absolutely.
And
dude, yeah.
I could talk about Steel for a while.
Dude,
I'm a big fan. He was the only really good of the four.
A purity. But I'm talking about with the characters like Superboy. I mean, in my opinion,
I told you, man, I love Connor Kent.
Well, I know you love Connor Kent.
But just in terms of the strong heroic countenance you would expect from someone that tries to take the name Superman, John Henry Irons was the guy who should have been it,
So really quickly, and even though I like Cyborg Superman more than most people, I like the Last Son of Krypton. I like all the characters, to be honest.
The Eradicator,
What's that?
The Eradicator.
The Eradicator, yeah. I will say, in my opinion, I think that Steel makes Reign of Superman worth it.
Totally.
He's
the most human of them.
Right, exactly. And he's not supposed to be.
I'm not even just talking about power level. He's the most emotionally human of them.
Yeah, he's the most compelling character easily on there. And it sucks because I want a talented writer to go and pitch a great Steel story because it's there. Steel is a untapped resource in DC that they're just not using yet. And I mean, strictly in the comic books, not in the movies, not in the TV series. No, comic books.
I never saw the Shaq movie. I never.
Stop it. Just stop it.
I never saw it. There. I can't.
Don't even go there, Chris. Don't even try to act like that movie's whatever.
It exists. I mean,
it does exist. It does exist. You'll have to do a Reign of Superman story sometime. We'll read that and we'll talk about it.
Did I show you because back in 2014 or 13 they re-released a Death and Return of Superman omnibus that I've got. I think Michael Bailey has it too. It's just
Michael Bailey. Love you, Michael Bailey.
Awesome.
I agree. I have I don't have the Death of, but I have the Reign of Superman. It's an omnibus, but it's an older trade and it has everything in there, which is
Reign
super
of
cool.
It's stronger than people give it credit for, but World Without is the best part of this.
I need to get that part. That's the one part I'm missing of my trades. But yeah, I think Death of Superman is actually a lot. To be honest, I think it's a better story. I think the death and the reign is a lot better than people give it credit for. I think people were really apt to I'll be honest. I think Wizard Magazine. This is a whole different topic. We can talk about one other day. But I think Wizard Magazine and a lot of those places really, these comics aren't hip, so you shouldn't like them. You know, that's essentially what they did.
You know what we should do?
Hmm.
Next time we do
after Wizard magazine,
after Maximum Carnage, Death and Return of Superman on the Super Nintendo.
We'll see.
One of the better Superman games, and it's very much like Maximum Carnage.
We'll see.
He plays all 4 of them.
We'll see. We'll wrap up. We'll see. We actually have to do it though. That's the other thing too. We have to actually play.
Tell me when to come over. I'll bring all the crap.
I've been texting you the other day to hang out, you butthole. I mean, what do you want me to do? I mean, we've been busy. We got daughters now, man.
Yeah, I know.
Life is busy, dude. Life is busy. Adam, we're gonna get you on here soon.
Thanks.
well, besides today, obviously. You're dropping some dimes today, though, man. Oh, you're cracking me up. No, we'll get you on. Obviously, we're gonna do Radiant Black. We'll just figure out a time to do that. Maybe we should wait till the series is, at least the first arc is done and kind of talk about it because it's interesting. I haven't really read much of Kyle Higgins stuff, but
me either.
I've been enjoying it for the most part. I'm curious to kind of dive into it and see where it goes.
Should read his Nightwing.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm good.
I did. I read. I got to read the second issue of Tom Taylor's. The first issue of this thing was good.
Yeah, very much.
It's I don't really know. I kind of know what's going on. I know that I know one character is dead. I don't want to spoil that for anyone who doesn't really know, but
don't spoil it. Don't spoil it. Yeah,
but no, it's a solid first issue for it. It's definitely a jumping on point for new.
What issue number is it?
78.
I think so.
Which by the way, I love the fact they haven't rebooted it to number 1 and they kept the numbering. Let's just keep that trend going and and by the way, I'm going to end on this because this is really cool. Which I think I'm going to do I'll do another live stream just where I'm just going to be shooting the what. I'll buy all you guys. Yeah. I'll be writing you guys on, but I need to talk about all the stuff I've been buying because I just love buying crap. And I do.
We gotta go to Ancient, man. I haven't been there in a while.
That's where I was the other day. The story starts with that. Don't tell my wife though. Spent way too much money.
I'm supposed to be doing that, dude.
I know you were there. Adam got a hit. He was a voyeur of by accident by my own stupidity. I was learning how StreamYard works. He heard my wife be like, you can't spend this much money anymore. Blah blah blah. And I was like, okay, I'm out of here. Which I felt bad about that. Sorry, Adam. No, I was at Ancient.
Fine, man.
I was at Ancient Comics, which is not. And those who don't know, Ancient Comics is an awesome place for comic books in Washington, if you're in Western Washington. And so look it up. And tell him I sent you. His name's Paul. I'm not sure he knows who I am, but you just tell him what I look like.
He knows your face.
Say pasty, big glasses, has sideburns. He'll be like, oh yeah, that guy. But which I'm excited to show you what I got. By the way, I got there. But I was there, and 2 young little girls, probably 10 or 12 years old, were buying old comics. Ooh. And it was there. One of them bought a trade of Avengers Academy. And I was like, oh yeah. She was like, I think I want this. I'm like, who are these characters? And I was like, let me help you out. There's Hamzat, there's Finesse, there's White Tiger. I forgot what's his name, the bronze red guy. I forgot his name. I didn't remember his name at the time. I think he's dead.
Is it the Mike McCone Avengers Academy?
Yeah, dude, that's a solid title, dude. I told her too. I'm like, this is a good stuff. And they were really excited, and it kind of bummed me out because the dad, and he's kind of like, a boomer probably, and he was just like, and I only say that because I said, this is awesome that you have 2 young kids buying comics. He goes, yeah, and they're girls. I was like, oh, come on, man, you had to say that. You just had to say, again, because I was excited because boys, girls, it doesn't matter. I'm just excited that there's kids buying comic books. And the fact that he said that, I was like, why'd you do that?
Especially a store like Ancient where they're not a member of the current distributors. Everything they're not, is stuff that's already been published. Which is awesome.
Which is cool. So it was just really cool. And they were buying Miss Marvel. They're buying old comics that are aimed for for girls to connect to. And I was but I also thought that was really cool. And the fact that they're going out there buying the stuff, and then these characters are still they're hitting. These people are watching the MCU and they're getting excited about comic books. And I wish and hope that Marvel and Disney get their act together and start promoting that crap more. You heard me?
That's a whole other podcast, man. We're going to be here for a whole other podcast.
So I just want to end on the fact that it was really cool seeing that yesterday. I saw it yesterday.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
That's really cool.
And I thought it was great. And I'm really excited that hopefully more people, and you brought the Tom Taylor thing, for Nightwing, Adam. The reason I brought that up is because we just need to encourage people to jump on these series more. Don't be afraid of the numbering. And I know everyone's looking for the perfect jumping on point. Yeah. And and I'm gonna do a whole show about this. Maybe I'll do like a presentation video about it. But or not, you know what I mean? Like we want like the short views or whatever. Sure. But I want to talk about the fact of like, because we all just jumped in. And sometimes you get, when you go, you all remember the first time y'all jumped in the deep end? It was scary at first, but after you did it, it was like, oh, this is not so bad. That's what jumping into comics is like for these monthly books. It's jumping the deep end. It's a little scary at first. You don't really know what you're doing. You're like, oh God, my feet can't touch the ground. But you know what? Like eventually you get used to it and you're like, oh, this isn't so bad. And you realize, oh, I can kind of figure out, they usually give footnotes or, back issues or whatever. That's where to go. Just jump into series, man. Like, don't be afraid to like read random issues, because you'll find out you'll know more than you realize, especially by watching the MCU. If you're an MCU fan, just jump into comic books. Don't worry about jumping on points. Like sometimes you just need to jump in and just see what you like and what you don't like. And Marvel Unlimited, you can easily see like, let me read these random like Captain America Brubaker issues, and if I like issues 5 and 6. I'll go back and read 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, who cares? Like, just read him. Like, just jump into it. Have fun with it. Don't look for the jumping on points all the time. Because I certainly didn't. I would read random issues of Secret Wars and have no idea what's going on. But I loved it because I loved the writing in the comic books and the pictures and all that stuff. Anyway, just go read comic books. Read more comic books, right, Chris?
Read more comics.
So, really quickly, Adam, where can people find you on all your social media platforms, sir?
Twitter at Twitter / at get at me. That was a Snoop Dogg joke.
Ooh, I like it. All right, here we go.
Twitter at enchilada legs. Yeah,
it's a great name, by the way. I love it.
Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah, and Mr. Faithful co-host, one of my bestest friends in the world, Chris Clow.
At Chris Clow, CHRISCLOW. We're actually going to be recording another episode of Discovery Debrief this week, cool. Which we're getting excited for. Awesome, a lot of Trek to look forward to, which is awesome. I know Paul is a fan.
I love it. I'm a huge fan.
And I'm talking to Paul more about doing more video game stuff because there's a lot of comic book video games that he hasn't played.
I don't play video games very often.
It would be a lot of fun to watch him play some of these games because A, I know he would like them, and B, it would also be fun just to watch. So,
yeah, and I think we might need to have like someone like maybe Adam or someone like that who's with us too, like because you'll be next to me and you could communicate with Adam or whoever while I'm playing a game yelling at stuff, and you guys can ask me questions as I go. That way we can kind of keep it fresh. So it's not just like the two of us being like Paul's just like swearing at this thing going like, come on Venom, whatever. So
I got another Xbox and I'm going to
figure something out
to you, but like the Ultimate Alliance games I think would be perfect and we can play those together.
There you go. Yeah, see, and like I said, we need to have some kind of point person. So I might just dub you that person to be like kind of like our help for go between, just to kind of keep us on track and everything. So but no, we're gonna do it. We're gonna figure it out. I've got more obviously Indie Kicks episodes on the way with Dennis. Check out the first episode. It was a great time.
It was awesome.
Gabriel Chang, it was great. We're promoting, if you're out there, if you have an independent book, hit me up. I want to help promote it, and we'll put you on Indie Kicks. Me and Dennis will try to interview you. Again, super quick. It doesn't have to be super long. Oh God.
Comments, man. Read the comments.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, yeah, just go out there and, please, and spread the word. If you know people who have independent comic books, send them my way. I want to promote. I know we're not like a giant channel by any means, but I want to, every little bit helps, right? So
spread the love. We're good at that.
Spread the love. So yeah, we'll get a new Indie Kicks episode next month. I hopefully will have a special announcement next month. I'm not sure. It's going to happen at some point, but we'll wait. It's going to be really, I think it's going to be worth the wait. We'll see. So, but yeah, I'm just going to tease it again. It's going to be cool. And comic book related. So anyway, follow us on Twitter at Binge Comic, and please subscribe, like. Thank you so much for the all the people that did come in and say nice things, and like Andrew and Jason and some random girl. I'm not sure who that person is. Yeah. Thank you so much for coming on and supporting the channel. And please, as always, read more comic books.
Read more comics.
Bye.